Is there any truth to the rumor that you guys are using alligators for enforcement in St. Johns County?
That's not true at all.
Okay,
We
good.
do have an alligator though in our drainage pond though.
Oh, really? So
Yes,
we
we
have
do.
one too.
Okay, yeah, but I don't know. He comes and goes, or maybe it's a she. I don't know.
On a serious note, though, you have made a recent trip to
I
Alligator
have.
Alcatraz or the Everglades detention facility. Tell us a little bit about that. Was that what you expected it to be?
Sure. Well, the reason why I went first of all is I am the current chair for the Florida Model Jail Standards, which is a current administrative and Florida state statute to oversee the 67 county jails in the state of Florida. So I'm the current chair, and also too I sit on the Florida Foundation for Correctional Excellence. So again, I'm very into the correctional program, and so with that being said, the purpose to go down there was I had to see for myself because the negativity was bothering me. That is this truly going on? Well, the only way to do it is to go see it yourself. So I went down there just this week, a couple of days ago. I brought some of my staff members. One of my commanders is over our Homeland Security, and then also too. He is over our immigration enforcement, which, of course, as you know, is a Florida state statute. So again, no, it was actually total opposite of what I thought. It was dress right dress. The incident commander, Frankie Lum, is running a type ship down there. There's a lot of contracted employees down there, so it almost reminded me of a forward operating base overseas. And of course, I've spent a lot of time overseas in combat zones, so it looked just like that. The detainees, I didn't get the exact number, but I would say it was between 1,000 and 2,000, just guessing based on my walkthrough.
And you spoke with them.
I did. I spoke to them. I actually walked through where they're being currently housed at. I saw the nutritional plan that they're actually eating. I saw the contracted service that is actually providing the food to the detainees. I saw they get a hot in the morning time, they get a cold at lunch, and they get a hot at dinner, which of course is what we currently do for the St. Johns County Jail. They showed me the meals that they physically were serving them, but the medical services, the in-processing services, I would say they're probably getting better services there than majority of the country that we currently live in, that people that are that legally here. So again, I was very impressed of the operation they're running down there. I'm very impressed by, again, the incident commander and his entire team of what they're doing down there in such a tight timeline.
One of the things that we're hearing is that weather is a huge factor
Mhm.
at the Everglades Detention Center, particularly when it rains. The folks who are there are exposed to power lines and things that are possibly the source of electricity to injure them. Is that something that you found, or was the weather beautiful when you went?
Well, it was. We had an overcast there, and we actually flew out just before a storm came in. But I didn't see any. That airport's been there for a long time. I'm just guessing. It was actually meant, I think, for an overflow back in the day. For, of course, the Miami Metro-Dade, as growth was going to expand across the Everglades, who knows? But anyways, I didn't see any power lines at all. Now you can be thinking, for goodness sakes, I thought everything was kind of underground. Everything's run by generators down there. Again,
But no exposed cords on the ground.
I don't remember seeing any of that, by the way. You got me thinking now, but I don't remember seeing that at all. Now, I would say this, as you build a forward operating base in a military zone in a foreign country, it's very, very similar. So this thing is rising, literally being built as we speak. So with that, of course, you're going to have some incidents, of course, where you have some risk mitigation, where a person's going to say, okay, why do we have the cord there? We do the same thing overseas with our soldiers. But I don't recall. I was very, very impressed. Actually, I would say that detainee facility is cleaner than probably 90% of our jails in the state of Florida, based on my own observations. I was very impressed. And I was talking to the guy that actually is the director of the detainee part of it, or detention part of it. He's a 30-plus year veteran of the Florida Department of Corrections, so he gets it, he understands it. He's surrounding himself with people that understand the process. I said, so now that they brought him in there, you got a subject matter expert who understands the concept of detainees and what is required. So I was impressed, and I think anybody that went down there, that if even you, Kristine, or anybody that isn't familiar with the process, because we're working it right now, would be, okay, wow, this is pretty impressive.
Are they in cages? Because that's what we've heard.
So they're actually 32-person pods, basically. The pods are actually all like a wire mesh. They had chain link eventually, but through trial and error, they knew chain link wasn't going to work. So now it's like a no-climb fence in there. But they're in massive tents, per se, that have aluminum or steel frames. The AC was cold as can be in there. In the actual 32, I say 32 person, there's bunk beds in there. So there's 32 people actually in that area, but they have their own toilets and sinks in there. There are phones that are on 24 hours a day in there. I think there was 3 per 32. When we walked through, I talked to some of the detainees in there, and they understand they're going back home. everybody in that facility, we'll just say 1,500 because I'm not sure the exact number, but everybody in the facility had some type of an arrest in the state of Florida or another state in the United States, but most of them were Florida arrestees. So they had some type of charge from as low as DUI all the way up to, or driving with no license, all the way up to homicide. But everybody in there had some type of an arrest in the state of Florida.
So no one in there, just to re-clarify, no one in there had no criminal history. Everyone had a criminal history.
Everybody had some type of criminal history. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was no distinction between misdemeanors, felonies.
Yes, I didn't understand that until I actually left. But based on their band on their wrist, there was based on I didn't know what the color. I'm sure. I think it was almost like a green, yellow, red. Red, what I would assume is your people that are probably your more violent crimes. But I didn't get that distinction when I was in there.
Okay, and were they together, the people with the green bands and the people with the red bands?
I don't know because I didn't know till the end.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So they were all in orange jumpsuits, but they were actually delineated by their crimes by the color of their band. And I don't know. I didn't see that until the way out.
Okay, and you may not know the answer to this question either. They were arrested and charged with crimes, but not all of them were convicted.
I didn't know that. I just know they had some type of criminal history.
Okay.
Yep.
School's getting back to into session.
Next week.
We talked about the motorbikes a little bit. Was there anything about that you wanted to add? The motorbike issue, the e-bike issue?
Yeah, the e-bike issue. This is not where we educate today and actually we put out these flyers and pamphlets and it's over with. This is an ongoing process. It's fluid, it's flexible, and we together will continue to work on this. We're at the infant stages. As you know, I am trying to go ahead and change state law this year with a Florida state statute, pull out the e-bike section and basically make it standalone on its own 2 feet, and pull it away from, of course, the bicycle statute. So no, this is something that I'm going to continue to say, hey, parents, guardians, if you have children, let's start in the home with educating them, just like we did when we were children. When I was a child, when you learn how to ride a bike, you learn how to ride it, but then also what other variables that come with it. And it's safety, it's helmets, it's crosswalks, it's just dangerous out there. And these e-bikes are moving along faster than what you can pedal on some of them. So again, it's an educational piece that starts in the home with the guardians, parents, or loved ones that are taking care of them. What's
the significance of pulling the e-bike out of the current legislation and having its own delineation?
Yeah, I think the key to it, and the word that everybody understands, is it's not a bicycle. You can call it what you want to, but it's not a bicycle if it goes 30 miles an hour. It's not a bicycle if you don't need to pedal it. Again, and I think we see that too with these kids, but there's some additional factors that come with this that we have to let it stand alone. So I feel like if we identify the e-bike, and I kind of go back to looking at the old mopeds that had the pedals on them too. You could pedal them, but also too you could fire it up, under gas power and get that additional power, I should say. So again, it's got to stand on its own 2 feet, and we got to pull it out of that statute.
So to follow up on a story we had covered earlier, we had talked about somebody who was pranking a couple of schools in the area and actually forced a lockdown and saying that they were going to blow up the school. Number one, is there any follow-up on that case?
Yes, we ended up identifying, of course, a potential suspect in a foreign country and working with, of course, our federal partners. We actually developed what we believed was a suspect. Of course, it's all internet-based. It's all, of course, platform-based through the internet. So with that, again, I think we identified over 100 calls, actually, that this young man was responsible for. So the last that I'd heard, of course, was the Federal Bureau of Investigation, of course, because it was out of our jurisdictional boundaries. But our team here at our Real-Time Intelligence Center had identified with our investigative team a potential suspect in a foreign country. So, those type of calls, they make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Because you have innocent children, innocent employees that work in our school district, and families that are just hoping that their kids and their loved ones are safe, of course, while they're in school. But you have to take every one of those calls like it's going to happen, unfortunately, because you just don't know. And we didn't know at the time, of course, that phone call was coming from another country, let alone. But we did have some facts of the cases as the calls were coming through that there were some businesses that the caller at the time, of course, was giving us that were no longer in business. So we knew right away they were using technology, meaning, a Google Earth or some type of, platform to identify, of course, the surrounding businesses or, even some areas that are probably now have homes on it or businesses on it. So again, but we have to take these calls seriously. We have to work them like it's going to happen. But again, our technology-based policing and our real-time intelligence center, our partnership with the school district, and again, educating the employees that work in our school district to understand that we're not going to tolerate this stuff, but we're going to go ahead and react accordingly and not take anything and say, okay, this is a hoax, this is a fake call, this is a swatting call. We just don't know unless something happens. So we're going to take all of the measures and all the tools and resources that we have and react and respond accordingly.
And those pranksters had said that they were actually hired online by students at the school. Does your educational message for those students change at all?
Well, we take the fact that, of what he or she, our suspect, actually said, but also, too, there was targeting a hospital, and of course, in Jacksonville. They were targeting other areas of the state of Florida and across our nation. So what we know is what we can't prove is that students did hire he or she or hire our suspects to actually, commit this. We believe it was standalone, and we believe it was our suspect, again, using their social media platforms to go ahead and just wreak, terror and havoc on multiple institutions, not just schools, hospitals, places of large populations. So again, we believe we have the person identified, just working with the federal government to get them and hold them responsible for their actions.
When we were talking on the air earlier, you talked about policing from the keyboard. Is that one of the things that those folks are looking at, those deputies are looking at, identifying potential threats in the community?
Well, I think the big thing, of course, is we talk about from policing from behind keyboards. It starts as soon as that call comes in from the school, which happened that morning. Our real-time intelligence center, our analysts immediately start going to work, not just going to work on the keyboard, but also looking at the cameras to see what is going on in the school, what is going on in the media area. Is it actually, linking together with what the caller is saying is going on or is actually happening? So that information, along with our deputies' response. So key to success first is the information we gather on that initial call or calls, and then, of course, the response that we are doing as we're going, of course, to the alleged area where the incident may be happening. So it's that cumulative response, meaning that everybody works in a partnership or relationship. And also, too, our partnering agencies, I have to have that relationship with TK Waters and Michelle Cook and Gator Deloach and Rick Staley in my surrounding counties. But not just that, our federal partners, too. We may be one of the only sheriff's offices that actually meet, monthly, every couple weeks. When we talk about some of those children that are kind of on the radar, repeat offenders, we may be the only agency that has an FBI Joint Terrorist Task Force member in those meetings to make sure we're touching at the highest level too, as well, in case we need to cross those jurisdictional boundaries.